All right, everybody. So, as promised, this is part 2 of the video. We're going to look at some of the drills that we gave Pat to work on his mobility in both his lower body and his upper body. So, I'm going to try to demonstrate these here. There's much more detail that we would give Pat in person and when I work directly with him. We'll also talk way more about obviously things like the number of sets, reps, how regularly he should do it, as well as some additional drills as he progresses and gets the hang of these initial basic ones. But this is kind of just the starting point. So I'm going to kind of move the camera around here, and again, I'll get better at this as I do more of these, but I wanted to just show what we're doing to begin with. So to start with, I'm going to put the camera on the floor, and we're going to begin working on some of his lower body mobility. We're going to start first with ankle windshield wipers. So what I'm going to do is have him lay flat on the floor. First thing he's going to do is just rotate his feet outward and inward, outward and inward. Okay, we're going to do it with the feet pretty close. Then I'm going to move my feet a little bit further apart and do the same thing, outward and inward. So working on both ankle mobility and also hip mobility, so internal and external rotation. Of my hips, this would be external rotation, this would be internal rotation. So we're going to keep working on this with our feet. We'll go even wider, we'll do some more. Then we'll go back to close. Now we're going to do toes forward and backwards. So he's flexing his calves and his ankles as much as he can forward and backward right here. The next component of that is actually called inversion and eversion. So if you watch closely, I'm going to try to keep my feet straight as possible. Try to move my ankles in and out. So in and out. I'm feeling this on the outside of my calves right now. So right now it's on the inside portion of my legs right here. And then as I turn my feet outward, feeling the outside of my calves right here. So that would be our first exercise, ankle windshield wipers all directions. The next one is going to be what's called 90-90s. So I'm going to get 90-degree angle from my hip and then my calf right here. It's a little hard to see because of this camera angle, but again, we'll get better at this. The other leg is going to be out 90 degrees and 90 degrees on that calf. So what I'm going to do here is this inside arm right here. So my outside arm is supporting me and sitting. I'm going to actually extend my arm and I'm going to flex my wrist or extend my wrist down like this. So I'm going to get into that 90-90 position. I'm going to try to get rid of any space that might occur between this hip. So you see there's this gap right here. I'm going to try to press that down into the ground, as well as pressing this arm into the ground, or leg into the ground. And I'm going to extend outward, and I'm going to try to hold that position. I'm going to hold that for 60 seconds. This is giving me a stretch through my entire body from my wrist all the way down through my hip. This is going to really help open up the hips. So after 90 seconds doing that, I'm going to switch sides. And I'm going to do the same thing, 90 seconds the other way. Now, once you get better at this, you can actually bring both arms up and do that same stretch. It's going to make it even greater. But this is a really good starting point to work on hip mobility. Okay? So those are the main 2 exercises that we began with for the upper body. We're now going to look at the lower body. We're now going to look at a little bit of the upper body exercises that we gave him. So the first one is called roll and reach. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get onto my hands and knees. I'm going to take one hand, make a fist, and I'm going to put my forehead into that fist. So what I'm going to do with my other arm is I'm going to extend it out with my palm facing the floor. It's hard to see, but once I get all the way out, I'm going to rotate my palm and lift it as high as I can while still keeping my forehead on the ground. So I'll show it like this. So forehead, hand on the forehead, extend out, roll, and lift. Turn it back, bring it out, extend, roll, and lift. So I'll do that for a certain number of sets, and then I will repeat on the other side. That's going to really help open up that shoulder and increase his ability to rotate from the shoulder as well. The next one we're going to do, this is going to help with that limited overhead mobility. So Pat had a hard time getting his arms over his head from this direction. He was only able to get to about here. So we really want to open up the lat and the shoulder. So for this one, I'm going to take a band. I'm going to put the band around my feet. What I'm going to do now is extend out, and I'm going to lay back. And I'm going to try to first get the band over my head. Now from here, I'm going to get my hands into a supported position. I'm going to extend my arms, and I'm going to keep my arms straightened and extend them fully. So I'm pressing against this band as hard as I can, fully extending my arms, and I'm going to hold this position for about 60 seconds. Okay, this is really compressing the shoulder joint. It's increasing that range of motion through exposure being in this position. Okay, so this is really gonna help with that overhead mobility. Now we're gonna look a little bit more closely at the arms. So both extension and flexion of the wrist. So these are some pretty cool ones that I really haven't seen in other places. So first, like I said, this is wrist extension. So bringing your hands or your knuckles back up. One of the ways that we can help somebody improve this is we're actually gonna have them first get into a flexed position. So the opposite. So you get into that flexed position. Now what I'm gonna do is take my other hand with my thumb and my fingers. I'm gonna pull back on the skin here. Okay, so I'm getting a stretch through my forearm already. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a fist and I'm gonna extend as far as I can, still pulling back with this hand. Then I'm gonna try to straighten my fingers. You're gonna feel a tremendous stretch going right through the top of your forearm. That's really gonna help open up that wrist extension. The other one that we can do is basically the same thing in reverse. So now we're gonna work on wrist flexion. This is wrist flexion, okay? It's a very important move in controlling the plane of the club as you come down. So what we're gonna do for wrist flexion is we're gonna have the person start in extension. So my wrist is now extended. I'm gonna turn my hand the opposite way. So I'm gonna get my thumb on top of my forearm. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna pull back with my hand in extension. Now I'm gonna flex my wrist. Then from here, I'm gonna try to open up my fingers. So I'm gonna try to open up and curl my fingers. As you do this, you're gonna get, again, a tremendous stretch on the other side of your forearm this time. That's really gonna help with that wrist flexion. So this is obviously a super quick, down and dirty version of some of the exercises that we gave Pat to address his mobility impairments. There's a lot more to come. There's just kind of too much for one video. So I'm gonna do more of these, but again, these are sort of unique things that I haven't seen elsewhere that can really help with some of that swing mobility. And then, like I said, in the next one, we're gonna look at swing drills that we gave Pat to help with those same things. So hope this gives you some ideas. If you have any questions, please reach out to me.